Welcome back to Impulse Plays. I am Crazy Carl Winter here with who I consider, he doesn't know this until now, but the combo master of pre-modern, Galen LeMay. How you doing, Galen?
Hey, how's it going?
So we're here to talk about a
I'm doing great.
good. Okay, good. We're here to talk about a match between Pattern Rector, which is a really bizarre combo deck that Galen introduced me to, that came from Caustic, I think, was the first person to post it. It's a very bizarre deck with a lot of sweet combo lines against my buddy Drew, who's playing Magnivoath. So I'll post a Magnivoath list up. I don't think I have his exact picture, so in post production, you're going to see something. Galen and I were just kind of looking at a general list, and it's mostly Stone Rains, Call the Herds, Oath of Druids, Magnivores, which is a Terravore but for sorceries, and it has haste instead of trample, and it costs one more mana. And then some Sylvan Libraries Disflavor, and it's kind of a sweet deck. Can be very explosive with its damage. So it's imagine like a Terravore, except it hits you for 15 in one turn. That's the general idea of the deck, which is kind of terrifying. What he's going to be playing against is me playing Pattern Rector. Galen, can you give us a brief rundown of how Pattern Rector works?
Yeah, so I mean, Pattern Rector, there's a few different versions of it out there, but this is the combo version.
Mhm.
And it basically is a Rube Goldberg machine that it's an A plus B combo that when you get it going, it basically requires a creature with pattern on the one hand and a sack outlet, recurring sack outlet on the other.
Mhm.
And then you do stuff, and there's a sequence of activations and triggers, and at the end of all that, you win the game. I don't want to spoil it by explaining how all that goes before
There's a
that.
lot of ways to get from A to B though. Like there's like A and then like three or four different paths you go, and then you get to B, which is your opponent dying.
Yeah, the awesome thing about this deck is that, first of all, it's a combo deck, which just is
Oh yeah,
baseline awesome.
yeah.
But
Chef's kiss.
you're playing all of these cards that are just individually very interesting. I mean, they're powerful, but also interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Like Hermit Guide and Shapeshifter, and even like cards like Goblin Bombardment, just have the ability to, and Iridescent Drake, all of your cards have the ability to do cool and interesting things, and really the deck I have found rewards creative thinking. Um, some number of games you're in your gear one mode and you just kind of combo off,
Right.
but you end up with a lot of games where you're in gear like Q, and you just have to figure it out with this crazy toolbox that you've got.
Yep.
Not sure if that's going to come up here, but it's what I love about the deck.
Yeah, we shall see. It's been a little while since we played this. This is from our Binghamton local monthly tournament, which is we do the first Sunday of every month for anybody that happens to be in the Binghamton area that's watching this, Binghamton, New York. And yeah, it was a sweet event, and we will see how this match goes. I'm gonna get it started here, and it's a little bit choppy because I had some issues with how the recording worked out. It smooths out a little bit after a minute or two, but it's a little choppy at first, so I apologize for that. We've got me on the left playing Pattern Rector and Drew on the right playing Magnivore. Galen, how does Pattern Rector usually fare against Oath of Druids decks?
So, I mean, it has a really good shot at racing the card Oath of Druids,
Mm-hmm.
especially at least with the traditional, um, oath uh, oath lists that are out there. The Magnivore has the ability to be a little bit more explosive, a little faster.
Mm-hmm.
Where the trouble can come in is when the when you're disrupted, because Oath can present a fast clock. So coupled with land destruction, disruption,
Yep.
that can make it a little more difficult. It just depends how it plays out.
Yeah, which we've seen two wastelands thus far. But I fortunately was
Yeah,
on the play, so I was able to get a survival the fittest out. Um,
yeah. We should have mentioned that you're playing not just a combo deck but a survival deck,
right.
which survival just gives you all sorts of tools, lets you like develop your mana.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's uh, creates a really high floor.
It does, yeah, it really does. So I'm getting super disrupted here. Double wasteland into firebolt on my Birds of Paradise. Going to need a squee. Squee is used in a lot of survival decks to get value over time because it comes back to your hand as a creature every upkeep. And I don't know what I go for. I'm guessing like a Rector or something. Look, I'm hovering Wall
I
of
want to just point
Roots.
out here that he's disrupted you a bunch, but your opponent doesn't really have anything going.
Right, there's
So
no
if you're
pressure.
just
Yeah,
wastelanding your opponent, it's kind of all that can just be um, put you both in the same position. You're both losing a land unless you're leveraging that. Not
right.
clear to me how he's leveraging that here.
Yeah,
Um, because you're able to, there you are getting your mana development, getting your mana dorks. And
yeah,
Wall of Roots, such a beating with survival.
yeah. It really is. I think he's trying to just kind of mana screw me. That's really what's coming down to. Oh, and he has a Sylvan instead of an Oath. That is pretty good for me because like he's
The
basically
Sylvan's
taking a turn.
obviously going to be,
It's gonna be
yeah, super
powerful.
powerful against you. He's going to be ancestraling every turn because you're not going to present a clock in the near future. Um,
But as you said, he's not putting any pressure on me, so I can
Really
just kind
great.
of do whatever I want.
Yeah, it's interesting that you guys are both like neither of you are pressuring the other at this moment, so you're
Mm-hmm.
both able to leverage your decks. It'll be interesting to see who can like come out of this with an
Yeah.
advantage first.
It looks like I'm actually advancing my game plan, whereas Drew is kind of just drawing cards and hoping for the best.
Well, he's gonna draw 3 cards next turn, and we'll see
That's
what that
true.
gets him.
That's true. So what do I go for here? The Rector or the Pattern? Okay. So the pattern here
I'll
would
just
lead
point
me
out that
into something. I guess I have a carrion feeder. Yeah, sorry, go ahead, Galen.
oh, sorry, like one interesting thing about the Rector is that it is if you're fearing your opponent's disruption,
Hmm.
Rector has this weird interaction that when the Rector trigger goes, your opponent can't respond before the trigger happens. So if you have
Hmm.
multiple creature targets, you get to dodge interaction. Here, that didn't
Right.
really come up because you only had one creature target in play.
And yeah, he was tapped out. But had he not been tapped out, that's a good point. So when the Rector resolves, if it gets an aura, it doesn't actually target. It just attaches to the creature during the resolution of the not during the resolution of the pattern of the Academy Rector's ability, but as the aura enters play, you choose something for it to enchant, but it doesn't actually target. There's no stack or anything like that you can respond to. It just slips into play. So the if Druid had mana open, it might have been better to play the Rector, right?
Yeah, it might have,
Yeah,
but he didn't, and so it was fine. So
exactly.
so
So that's
now
fine.
you're getting your B. Your pattern is your A, and that
Mm-hmm.
carrion feeder is the recurring sack outlet.
Mm-hmm.
That's your B. His oath is down. If he gets to untap, he's going to hit you with a huge Magnivoath. But
Mm-hmm.
but here we go.
I roll up my sleeves. I do this all the time when I play combo decks because I'm like, all right, I've got a lot of game actions to take. I need to like roll the sleeves up so I don't have them in my way. So I'll let you explain what's going on
Let's
here.
know what's going on here. So for the combo, the first thing that happens is you get Iridescent Drake, and you then get the pattern back, and then you get the guide, and then you get the Drake and the pattern back, and it's this recursive loop that's all like based around, at least in the first stage, of getting your Drakes and patterns back with Karmic Guide and Karmic Guide
Mm-hmm.
like effects, which maybe
or
come
or
to
like Voss
fruition.
shapeshifter. And basically, what this is
Yeah,
resulting in is a bazillion thousand death triggers or deaths happening, and then a bazillion counters going on to this carrion feeder. So yeah, there's the loop I'm
yeah.
illustrating to
You're
Drew
not even
there.
bothering to like put all the counters at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you've now demonstrated your loop. You now have an arbitrarily large carrion feeder.
Yep.
But it's summoning sick, importantly. You
Oh,
can't just
tragic.
swing for the win.
But what could I do here?
And what can you do with a very large sick carrion feeder?
We can go and get an Academy Rector, and
Okay,
then that
more
Academy
Rector.
Rector.
Okay.
Yeah, go for it.
So you just forked your Rector triggers because you had a Rector trigger, but then with Rector still in the graveyard before the Rector removed itself, you are activating Shifter as Rector. Shifter as Rector is going to resolve and get that bombardment.
Yep. So the Goblin Bombardment says you sacrifice a creature to deal 1 damage to any target. And then we had a Pattern Rebirth get placed onto another creature, made a bazillion bears with Call of the Claw, because for each creature that dies, you get to make a 2/2 bear with Call of the Claw. And then Drew gets machine gun to death. So that's pretty clean, right?
Very clean. I'll point out that if you had been facing an untapped mana, you would have want to reverse those activations. You would have wanted to get the Collar of the Claw
Right.
first, and
Right.
then but since it was tapped out,
it ended up not mattering.
Didn't really matter.
Yeah, good to know. That's something for me to tighten up my pattern play. So I do not play the deck very often. I love the deck. The deck is so sweet. I love the fact that it has so many 1-card combos. But resolving those 1-card combos can be very challenging sometimes. So, and then resolving them in the correct order is also very important. So I don't always do that. So I appreciate that. Looks like I'm going to 6 here.
Even if he disrupted you, you still would have had infinite bears.
Right, which is probably good enough.
For example, so unless he can beat infinite bears, it's not going to matter.
Right, yeah, that makes sense.
Sometimes he can beat infinite bears. He might have Pyroclasm.
He very well may have, yeah.
Dreams.
Yeah, or like Shard Phoenix or something, although Shard Phoenix is not super common in these Magnivoath Oaths.
But there's cards that can remove a bunch of bears, so
yeah, for sure.
When you want to win.
All right. We've got Birds of Paradise into Rector, but no sacrifice outlet, which is unfortunate. And a naturalize.
But, you can't have everything.
Yeah, I mean, you want to have everything, though.
Your hand's a definite keep.
Oh, yeah.
Strong. And you've got so many ways to draw. All your survivals. I think you probably have like 5 or 6, maybe it's 5, like stack outlets plus the survivals. Like you've got lots of outs.
Yeah. There's like what 9 draws there. You got 4 carrion feeders.
Actually, Rector can serve as stack outlets too if you've got a single stack outlet.
That's true. Which I don't think I do in my deck list. I just I don't have the Phyrexian Tower. I just have the 1 Goblin Bombardment and the 4 carrion feeders.
Therapies?
Oh, I did therapies. I'm sorry, I forgot about that. Yeah, I could plot therapies. I always forgot about
therapies.
that.
So you're it's in your hand. By the way, another thing that just raises the floor of this pattern deck is it's a survival deck and it's a therapy deck.
Mm-hmm.
So all of the cards that raise the floor on decks like Full English Breakfast, same floor for this deck.
For sure, yeah. Drew has Pillage into Wasteland, which again he doesn't have any pressure on me, but now he does. Oh no. So Sylvan after
now if you can just if it's a race, if you are able to develop to get 4 mana before you're dead,
right?
That's
a tall order against the Pillage Stone Rain Wasteland deck, right?
And now we've got the Active Oath. I thought I saw that you had a Naturalize in your hand.
I did, yeah. I think I must. No, I haven't yet. No, I didn't have 2 mana. Yeah, there's the Naturalize. So I go for the Oath of Druids.
Yeah.
Okay.
You gotta hit the Oath there because the Oath can just kill you in one shot if you're lucky.
Yeah, exactly. If that Magnivoath hits as a huge target, that's going to be really ungood for me.
I'm not. Yeah, your life is at 16. Like your mana base is pretty painful. It's not quite as bad as Hermit Fabs with like no basics, but you've got a lot of things.
Yep, and Stone Rain on my city. That's really not good for me.
They're eating your life.
Oh, he's just tapping his mana differently. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Hit a black mana.
I need a white source.
Yeah, I need a white source and then a 4th mana on top of that.
Or maybe you don't. Maybe you're gonna get there with the 1/1 feeder.
That's true. I mean, he does have a Treetop Village, so he can just block, he's just letting me get the damage in at this point because he knows I'm not gonna be able to do anything about it.
Not if you keep destroying your lands with it.
That's true. So I'm looking at Cabal Therapying here. I don't know what I'm worried about that he wouldn't have cast already. I think I just want to get information about what's in his hand.
You definitely need to use it. You want it to be in the graveyard. I don't know what you name though.
I think I have an Infinite token that I'm writing it down on. Yeah, I'm writing it down, so we'll see it in just a second. I named Pillage.
I was in that spot, like not knowing the deck super well. I might have named like something like Pyroclasm or something.
Yeah, Pyroclasm might have been a good name, yeah. As it was, he just had a land, so it wasn't a huge issue. It's really sweet.
Yeah.
6th edition Carplucent Forest too.
Oh,
I love the art on those cards.
oh, this is a fascinating spot. Wow.
Ooh, I hit a wall of roots. Okay. But he has it out the druids.
So
That's awkward for me.
big question here. Do you play the Wall of Roots and hope to draw the white source before you're dead? Or do you sack the feeder to keep the oath from getting live? And then what are you even playing
So
for?
an option I
I
have
think you
here
have
is
to.
I let him oath, and then
I think you have to. Oh, there is Cloudplasms in the deck.
yeah, okay. So there's the
Or Earthquake.
Magnivore, but it's not a very big Magnivore. I think it's like a oh, he's got
Yeah,
like
that
four in
could
his
have been a
graveyard.
lot worse.
Yeah, definitely 4, 5, 6, 7. I think.
What do you think his average Magnivore is? I don't really know.
I don't either.
I'm guessing like
It's gotta be like a 5/5 or something, right? Like you got something like 20
my
sorcerers in your deck.
intuition was like maybe like 6 or 7, but I don't
Yeah.
know for sure.
This is one of the things I mentioned the other day is that I love that Premodern just doesn't have enough data points, so everything is just so vibes based. So
Yeah.
whatever we think is probably
Well,
right.
again, we don't know his exact list.
Yeah. So I have an option here: blocking with the Wall of Roots and then sacrificing my Carrion Feeder. Oh no! All right. Well, I don't really need lands at this point. The choke point is not mana; it's getting creatures into play. Yeah, so I block the Magnivore, but I leave the Carrion Feeder. Oh, I sacrifice it. What? I blocked the Magnivore, which doesn't have trample. Okay. Yeah. I forgot it's not Terror
That's
War.
interesting. I might have kept the. I think I would have kept it for another turn, maybe, just in hopes of.
Possibly. Okay, so I'm
Oh, but
just
you're dead.
sacking. Okay. I'm hoping to a Chroma here. Oh, I hit an Academy Rector. That's not bad. It doesn't do anything, but it's not. I guess that makes it bad, but
Well, actually, I mean, it blocks.
it
Um,
does. It
and I don't
does.
know if you. I'm not sure how you boarded here.
I brought
Um,
in Naturalizes, and let me look at my sideboard real quick. I probably brought in
did you
Sabo's
bring the worship
Web.
then?
Probably not because he's a naturalized deck, but that could be wrong.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I brought in Octavia Orangutan because I was afraid of Curse Totem, I think. Or Tormod's Crypt or Phyrexian Furnace, getting those out of the way is good too. So this is a little bit awkward because I can't get like a Pattern of Rebirth with the Academy Rector.
This
But
is where some people play Form of the Dragon in this deck, which,
yeah,
in this spot, if you bring it out, it keeps it holds the board. The problem is that, in my view, there's just not that many decks that actually lose to Form of the Dragon,
no, not nowadays. Yeah.
including this one.
Mm-hmm.
But it definitely, if your opponent doesn't have the answer to it and they don't have a way around it, it can definitely give you outs in games that you wouldn't otherwise win.
For sure.
Does that outweigh the number of games where you draw it? I don't know.
Yeah, that's an excellent question. I don't know if I think I told you about my mad beat for LobsterCon last year. I played Dance Academy, which is the Shallow Grave Corpse Dance Academy Rector weird deck with Mind Over Matter and Arcanist the Omnipotent. And I played round 2 against Green White Beatdown. I played turn 1 Form of the Dragon on the draw. My opponent played a bunch of cantrips and then drew Waxwing to kill my Form of the Dragon. I was very sad.
Yeah.
And that's what I would be afraid of here is the Oath deck just like finding something to kill the Form of the Dragon when I'm at 5 life and then they get to bolt and incinerate me and I'm dead.
Yeah. I mean, I will say that this is a good Form of the Dragon. The pattern deck is a good Form of the Dragon deck as far as it goes,
The
because
naturalize.
it. So there's the naturalized. If you'd had the form, you'd be dead now.
Oh,
So
yeah, I'd be at
it just
3.
doesn't get there very often.
Okay. I killed the Sylvan Library
So
because
that's nice.
I want to keep playing off his Oath of Druids.
Yeah.
Ooh, a Sabo's
Yeah, such an
Web.
interesting interaction here.
Yeah, I've got some stuff going.
I've never seen.
Interesting.
And this is one downside of the Magnivoath deck
Oh,
compared to
whoops.
the Terravore deck, because it can keep
Keep the pressure in
your
play.
opponent can just keep chump blocking you.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So I forgot that Drew had Firebolt, so he firebolted my Monk Realist and then killed me. That's a thing he's allowed to
Yeah.
do.
So he finally got through. Um, I like how you played that though. I feel like you definitely played to your outs there.
Thank you. Yeah, I did the best I could. And I didn't cut out the sideboarding here. That's atypical for me. I typically do that. Wonder if something happened in here. Or we just sideboarded super fast. That could be too. So just to give you all a peek behind the curtain, see how the sausage is made, I typically trim down these matches. I look at the life totals briefly. I try not to commit anything to memory because I don't want to remember what's going on with the match for when I commentate it. And then I just cut the video before at the end of the game and then again right before the next game starts so you don't have to sit and watch people sideboard. But sadly, you had to sit here and watch people sideboard. So I apologize to the folks for
I mean, I don't know. I
some of
think
that.
when I'm watching content, I really enjoy the sideboard commentary when people are talking about it.
That's fair. In this case, I don't have deck
Nobody's
lists
kind
to
of
work
touched on
off
it a
of.
little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
Drew's going to bring in like enchantment destruction, maybe some graveyard hate, because he didn't know what I was doing after. Well, I guess he did know what was going on after game one, but um, yeah. I think my sideboarding was Monk Realist naturalizes Sabo's Web, Uktabi Orangutan, which is a lot of cards.
Yeah.
That's the
You,
trouble I
you
have with
probably
this deck
don't even
is
have.
bringing stuff out is so hard because there's so many things you need all the time.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good point. You really can only afford to sideboard like four-ish
Mm-hmm.
cards. Usually you're trimming either Wall of Roots
Mm-hmm.
or the Therapies, both of which are just really good cards, but there's
Yeah,
just maybe you can trim a combo piece and still be functional, but much more than that, and it starts to really interfere with your consistency.
definitely. And then something
The
has to
deck has
go.
some
So
built-in redundancy.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if I was in your shoes, I think it would be the naturalized, the realist. I don't think you can afford the swords to plowshares.
No, I don't think so
Yeah.
either. You want to,
And the
but
worship is.
so
I mean, if he's got four Magnivores, right? It's not just two Magnivores.
that's true. That's true. So something that's kind of cute,
So
actually, I just remembered is that, and it's not relevant for this match, but I play Smother in my Feb deck and in the sideboard. Uh, Magnivore has 4 mana value. It doesn't have 3, so you can't smother it.
mm,
And Smother is a very common removal spell in this format. I'm taunting
yeah,
Drew with my reflecting pool. I'm
that's
like,
a nice dodge there.
yeah, I'm like, come in, wasteland this Drew, and he decides not to. I get to drop out a Wall of Roots. The only way this goes badly for me, I think, is if he has Oath of Druids. Okay. I guess it goes badly for me.
Well, but no, I mean, I think you're fine. You're gonna race Oath of Druids. That's a feeder in your hand, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I've got Feeder and
And you got
Rector.
the Body Snatcher. So the
Okay.
Body Snatcher um is um a redundant piece
Right.
that like basically like when you have like pieces in your hand, the Body Snatcher lets you get them into your graveyard and then into play.
Right. Yeah, you can
Kind of a
swap them
Swiss
around.
Army
Yeah.
knife to solve
So Drew
issues.
flipped into Magnivore with no sorceries. So I think we're getting a good chuckle
Oh,
out of that.
that's hilarious.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's really
honestly,
good for
even if
me.
you get, let's pretend you got a 5/5 here. Like you're still in pretty
Yeah,
decent
20,
shape.
right? Yeah.
Um, oh no,
Oh
is that
no.
crypt you
That is a
found?
crypt, yeah. Oh no. As I said, oh no. Oh no.
Yeah,
It's not a crypt, Galen. It's not a crypt. It's 2 crypts.
two crypts. Oh no.
Oh my goodness. So
But yeah,
is there any value in the Pattern Rector deck to playing Null Rod on the sideboard?
there might be. I think that I would play. If I wanted to answer if I wanted to answer multiple crypts, I think I would go with the Mox Monkey
Yeah, Gorilla
instead.
Shaman. Yeah, that
It's
makes
a little
sense.
more flexible,
Yeah.
and it's searchable with survival. Whereas you have to just draw the
That's a good
null
point.
rod.
Yeah.
Um, and I've considered it, but most of the time orangutan answers it. And another
Mhm.
really important point is that pattern. I mean, compared with Fab, if people are like accustomed to to familiar with that deck,
Mhm.
um, pattern has this built-in plan B, which
Mhm.
is you can always just pattern for. Usually, you have like one beater.
Right,
A
like a
Chroma is
Chroma
my
or
current
Symbiotic
favorite.
Worm or something. Yeah.
It could be symbiotic worm, um, and that just again.
Oh, he's streaming multiple oaths here.
Oh
Oof.
Yeah, that is rough.
Yeah. But yeah, you just pattern out the giant chonker, but which is ironic out here because I'm playing a Chroma, and a Chroma is great against Magnivoath because it doesn't have trample, so you just sit there and block it all day long. But it does not block two Magnivoors. Two Magnivoors is notably more than one. Yeah. Yeah, I like the idea of the Mox Monkey. I'll toss a card for my Feb primer at some point in here too. I think just for folks that are not super familiar with Feb because we've referenced it a couple times. And he crips away my board.
Oh, that was an interesting. Oh yeah, he's gonna.
Yeah, I didn't remove my reflecting pool. I just removed the Rector. So he's got 16 coming in at me with the two Magnivoors.
Yeah, what a rough spot. I mean, honestly, I feel like if you had just the one
crypt wouldn't be so bad.
One crypt,
yeah,
that would have put you in a much like more reasonable spot.
Yeah. Okay, so I was getting rid of the Body Snatcher. So survival for Squee, I guess. Yeah. And then I think I think what I want to do is block here and just go for some Oath triggers and hope I hit a Rector or two, then drop out my Carrion Feeder and try and win.
I mean, if you can hit an Acroma here.
Yeah, that also is pretty good too. Because then I can just Oath into chump blockers unless I hit like Carrion Feeders over and over again. So I think what I'm doing here is I'm just thinning my deck. I'm just taking creatures out of it that I don't want to see.
Yeah. Take out the bad creatures.
Yeah. Drew's making a mess of my deck, which is fine. I'm okay with it. Oh, Drew has the third Magnivoath in his hand. Actually, no, it's his fourth because he had the first one die.
Yeah.
So
so Oath is dead on his side.
Yep. Okay, so I get a Wall of Roots Valrash Shapeshifter. Except it's not a Wall of Roots anymore because that City of Brass went in over it. And then the second Oath yields Birds of Paradise. Not quite what I want to see.
What's that card on top?
Cabal Therapy.
Oh, that's a therapy. Okay.
Yeah, I got them stamped by Orosenin from the Calgary Cabal crew up in Calgary, Canada. They've got a really sweet,
cool.
what's the word? Logo icon thing. So I had him stamp my Cabal Therapies for me. I'm gonna actually send him another playset soon because I love how they look. And I'll be giving them out as a prize here probably here in Bington.
Sweet.
Yeah, I love stamp
cards.
cards.
You could do here. I don't know like exactly. It's weird with the Oath of Druids out. You can like put the feeder in play and put a bunch of you could go for like a bears line here, where you just sack a bunch and put a bunch of bears that can like block, and you don't know that he's got the Magnivoath in hand,
right?
But you know that he only has access to at most one more Magnivoath, so I mean that could buy you something to keep in mind that can buy you some time here.
That's true. I didn't think about that. Yeah, just get a couple bears and go for it. Yeah.
You've also, I mean, you've also got the shifter in play. You can actually
I can go for a Chroma.
Survival into a Chroma here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's annoying to have it in the yard, but
he's hitting free for 8, and I'm only for 6. I don't win the race. That's the problem.
Yeah, and the problem is that you can't kill them, and you're gonna have to unblock and lose one.
Right, which then turns off my Chroma. Yeah.
I mean,
I can.
Are you gonna get a?
I can survival away the Rector, yeah, and make him use his other Tormod script. That's kind of sweet. I say very self-servingly because I'm the one who made the play, but what do I go and get here? Not a Chroma.
Did you let the Rector resolve?
No, I survivaled it. I survivaled it. So this is after blocks before damage.
You're still surviving. Got it.
Yeah. So now there's the Magnivoath is going to kill the 2 creatures. The Shapeshifter is going to see itself die as a Academy Rector, trigger itself, and then Drew will ostensibly Tormod script me to keep me from getting things off. Oh no. Oh,
That's
I
gonna
guess I have another
hurt.
survival, but that's 2 more mana I have to tap to
Another
get the survival into
survival.
play. Yeah. I'm reminding him that I have the thing. He's like, nope, I'm naturalizing first. Like, oh, okay, so you just want to remove my survival. That makes sense. Yeah, like having the survival dying kind of sucks, but it's not the end of the world. But I have to recast. I have to redeploy survival if I want to do survival things. So that's really ungood for me. This is where the second crypt is really huge. Had he not had the second crypt, I could have gone for a single block with just the shapeshifter, turn it into a rector, and then get a chroma. And no pattern, unfortunately, I think, for that iridescent drake.
When I saw that feeder come out, I was like, oh no, like he can't, the feeder can't block.
Mm-hmm.
Did you not have a pattern in your graveyard?
I didn't. I had one. Drew crypted me last turn.
Encrypted it.
Yeah. So that double crypt is huge. That is just backbreaking. Oh no, I'm gonna. Oh
But
yeah,
like, I mean, another point here is that I don't know what you have left in your deck at this point. Like,
yeah.
I don't know that you have a functional combo
I think I do. I have
remaining
I
in
have
that.
one shifter gone. I have. Oh no, I don't have body shape. I don't have body snatcher anymore. So yeah, I don't think I do because the karmic guide's in my hand. Okay, so I sacrificed the carrion feeder to itself, not knowing that Drew has the Magnivoath in his hand to prevent him from oathing into the last Magnivoath and potentially just killing me. Because notably, carrion
Yeah.
feeder is unable to block per the line of text on it that says it cannot block. But Drew has it in his hand. He doesn't have the fourth mana, it looks like, to cast it. Because he's sitting on 8/8s. Looks
Yeah,
like an 8/8 right
fortunately.
now. Pyroclasm. Oof.
Ooh.
So that kills the iridescent drake, lets him crack in for 8, putting me to 2. Oh, sorry, crack in for 9, putting me to 1. Turns off my Lenore wastes. Oh boy. This is not okay. This is not look good for me. So I get a survival for something that is not a chroma to help it make it easier to oath into a chroma, but I've just got a lot of air in my deck at this point.
Yeah, you've got a lot of air, and you've got to like.
I've got to fade a lot here. I have to hit not
Yeah, I don't
carrion
know about
feeder.
getting.
I have to hit, which is why I survival carrion feeder, just to reduce my odds of getting carrion feeder, I think. So I have to hit not carrion feeder. I have to hit, um, I guess that's
Okay,
fine.
that blocks.
And that also blocks.
I mean, those both block. So
Yeah, that's what I kill
I
here.
think
The
I think
oath of
getting I think
druids.
taking out the carrion feeder was a really smart play.
Thank you. I think I have to kill the survival here because I need to keep the oaths online for me to utilize.
I wonder how many cards are in your deck at this point. Like, I feel like getting decked is a reasonable
Yeah, it's true.
outcome here.
Yep. Oh yeah, so I don't. I go back and because I don't because I resolved my things incorrectly. So what happens is active players triggers go on the stack first, which would be my squee. Then the Oath of Druids triggers go on the stack. When the Oath resolves, I hit a Monk Realist, which has to resolve its trigger before the second Oath resolves. So in this case, I had to decide what was going to die,
Right.
and in this case, I
And you
chose the
have to kill your
survival.
survival because otherwise
Oh
you just
no,
get steamrolled by the Magnivoath. You
yeah,
need his oaths in play. This is such a funny spot.
yeah. I drew
Oh,
my
and
Achroma. Yeah, that's
you
too
drew the
bad.
Achroma. That's annoying.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be game. Oh, well, it's definitely game because he has the third Magnivore.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
I show him the Achroma I
Man,
had.
you were able to drag it out for so long.
Yeah, I had option. I had outs. It's just not easy to hit them. Okay, so I brought out Fiend, a therapy. I brought out a pattern, a rector, and a shapeshifter, and the Elvish Spirit Guide. Okay, interesting. And I didn't see what Drew had for his sideboarding, but I don't think it mattered because he had everything he needed to kill me, which was land destruction and creatures.
I'm gonna admit that since I've been playing against with and against Oath of Druids, circa I forget when 2002 or whatever it was,
Mm-hmm.
2003. This is
Mm-hmm.
actually the first time that I've ever seen an opponent like just hang on to life through their opponent's Oath of Druids. Like that was
Yeah,
really an interesting one.
that is atypical. Yeah, and I think if I hit a chroma anywhere before the last like 2 turns of the game, I might have been able to win the race. But I did not
Yeah,
because
I think so.
I have 20 other creatures in my deck that are not a chroma, so it's not super likely that I hit them. But very
Yeah,
cool.
you really played your outs.
Thank you.
But you know it's a tough it's tough to beat an early Oath of Druid, let alone two. And I think the real
Mm-hmm.
nail in the coffin there was just when your opponent was able to get double Oath and the double crypt.
Yeah, there was a lot. He had a lot
Answering
going
one
for him
crypt
there. Yep.
is yeah, I mean answering a crypt is reasonable. Answering two crypts when you're a dedicated graveyard deck is a little harder.
Very challenging. Yeah, that makes me think I may consider Mox Monkey, like the Gorilla Shaman, for my sideboards going forward. Um,
I think I think it's worth considering, especially because I feel like the deck can definitely support the mana for it,
mhm.
and at least the combo lines are, Full English Breakfast, which I also play quite. We both play quite a bit
Mhm.
of.
Yeah.
Has combo lines through graveyard removal. They're a little
Right.
bit clunkier, but they have them. Whereas the Pattern Rector list does not.
Yeah. No
Um,
combos. It has like win
so
conditions outside of it, but not combos, right?
it's got the Achroma panic button, but
Mm-hmm.
Achroma beats some things, but it also loses to plenty of things.
Yeah.
And
Doesn't die to Doomblade, but it does die to Sword of Plowshares.
yeah, that's the source of plowshares. And it even can be if it comes down too late, it can be raced by Sly, and Burn and Goblins. You can go wide against it. There's the Elves even.
Yeah.
So it's not it just doesn't solve all your problems. It's a nice panic button if you can get it early enough. But but the fact that basically like two pieces of graveyard interaction are so
That's a lot to
crushing
play around. Yeah.
does make the
Yeah. Plus
yeah
the
it does make the
pressure.
box monkey a little tempting.
Definitely.
But
Definitely.
I think it's worth. I mean, I don't know that it absolutely should make the cut because you only get 15 cards and
Right.
gotta make them work. But I think
Yeah.
it's at least worth considering.
Definitely. Definitely. Well, I will tell you that the Pattern Rector was on my short list for LobsterCon this year alongside Allurin, but for folks that are watching this, you will see that I am like 99% on Classic Feb right now. So I really love that deck. I love the amount of disruption it has. But this deck is also very sweet. It's just if I'm going to play a graveyard centric deck, I want something with a little bit more disruption just to give me that extra bit of agency that I feel like I need.
Yeah, I mean again the plug for Pattern Rector over other graveyard strategies, including Full English Breakfast,
Mm-hmm.
is that it does. It's basically as fast, if not a little bit faster, especially than Classic Fab,
Mm-hmm.
and which by Classic Fab means not playing the Hermit combo alongside it, just
Right.
playing the Survival Mist. Ends up being a little bit more control-ish combo
Mm-hmm.
compared with the Hermit Fab deck, but and you do have that like turn three Achroma line, which will beat a lot of decks, and you don't have to go full combo. It's just it's there for you.
Right.
But what you lose is even though you've got the survivals and the therapies, your list is just less flexible. You have
Mm-hmm.
fewer spots to play with,
Yeah.
and you're more reliant on the graveyard when you're trying to combo, which let's be honest is most of the time.
Yeah.
So I agree with you that full English breakfast, whether it's the Hermit combo or the classic, is probably a more stable,
Mm-hmm.
um, more likely to go. The number of rounds that LobsterCon demands of you
Yeah.
without without failing itself. Oh, the other thing that can happen with this deck is you can just draw too many of your combo pieces and be cut off. Like that can
Yeah.
happen even with the Snatcher.
True. Or you can
Um,
draw them and just cast them and win. That's the thing you can do too.
but that's the thing. That's back to the earlier point. They're
Mm-hmm.
individually powerful, and if you can afford to start casting them, they can do pretty sick things.
Yeah.
But Helmet Guy's a 5 casting cost card, 2 white mana. It can be a little bit
Yeah. It's
clunky.
not the thing for sure.
Um, I do want to give a shout out. This stream was obviously to feature the pattern list, but I do want to give you a shout out for making some really awesome innovations in the full English breakfast. This is obviously after
Mm-hmm.
you put up the results at the Duress Crew event
Thank
with
you.
your really novel approach to full English breakfast. And I'm not saying that it's strictly better than
Mm-hmm.
what was I would consider the stock list going into that event.
Mm-hmm.
You really upped the discard. You've really changed the conversation around full English breakfast and really increased the focus on that early disruption. And I
Yeah.
think that it has really moved the needle on what that deck is capable of. And I
Thank
just want
you.
to give you props for that.
That is very kind. All I did was add duress. I added duress. That's all I did. I just played more duresses.
It's that adding duress wasn't the hard part.
It's finding the
The
cuts.
hard
Yeah.
part was cutting 2 to 3 cards
Yeah, for
because
sure.
all the cards were so important
Yeah.
and figuring out how to make it balance because there's so many constraints on the deck:
Yeah.
creature count, disruption, flexibility of survival, and figuring out how to balance all that.
Yeah.
So yeah, props to you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, on that very, very positive note, I will float off to bed with my giant inflated ego and let the good people go. Thanks so much for joining me, Galen. It was a pleasure commentating with you. We'll have to do it again sometime.
Always a pleasure, Carl. Thanks. Cheers and have a great night.
Thanks. See y'all later. Bye.